All right, how we doing? So I'm keenly aware that we're digging into lunch a little bit. So before we start, I'm just gonna make you a little promise, okay? So my promise is that I'm not gonna be standing up here for the next 30 minutes talking at you. That's not gonna happen. I'm gonna introduce social flow in 5 minutes. Then we're gonna be standing up and connecting with new people in this room. It's gonna be interactive. Second, it's gonna be practical. This is gonna be 4 questions that you can use to find your authenticity and use it as a tool to connect with new people while we're in this room. How's that sound? Pretty good? Cool. And my last one is that I think all of us have had that experience of going to a connection workshop at an event before. And I don't know if you've had this feeling of maybe some resistance. The idea that I'm gonna have to put forth some effort. I'm gonna have to do something or try. Well, that's actually the opposite of social flow. Social flow is not a practice of doing. It is a practice of being exactly who we are. It is a practice of doing less to connect more. So we can all just take a breath and relax into the effortless connection that's about to happen. How's that sound? All right, rock and roll, let's do this. So why am I here? I was talking to Amber last night and I asked her a question. I said, Amber, when everyone walks out of this room on Friday evening, how do you want them to feel? Without hesitation, she looks back at me and she says, meaningfully connected. And not just connected to people that they're gonna work with, but meaningfully connected to this community, feeling like they belong here. She says, my mission is not just to connect people, it's to take care of the whole entrepreneur. And you know how every meaningful connection starts? The same way, a meaningful conversation. And I know Amber believes this, and I do too. I have a question for you. With the 3 days that you have in this room, with some of the coolest, most innovative, most accomplished people in your industry, in entrepreneurship, who wants to skip the small talk? Who wants to skip the transactional of what do we do to dive deeper into the personal of what are you excited about and what's challenging? Who wants to go deeper to talk about what really excites us and what's challenging so we can be full spectrum human beings? I see hands going up. If you want to have those types of conversations, can we get hands up? Rock and roll. Look around that room for a second. Just keep them up for 1 second. Before you go to lunch and you start connecting with people, let's just use that as our permission slip, that the people here are ready for that. They want to go there. So let's have those types of conversations while we're at 4 rooms. Let's do it. So what is social flow? I said it's going to be practical. It is a 4-question framework that we can use to create flow states with people. It's based on 4 simple questions, based on an acronym, I CAN. Intentionality, curiosity, authenticity, now. And I'm gonna share this in the 4 Rooms app after, so anyone who wants this, you can have a photo of it to take with you. So what are those questions? How do I want to be? What do I want to know? What is real for me now? And how can I be more present? So we're gonna get into what we wanna do with those questions, why they work, but first, let's add some context. What is a flow state? So a flow state defined by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi is that state of being where we are doing our best and performing our best, oftentimes with very little effort. We are completely absorbed in the task. Time often stands still, but it's that peak state of being. And in his field of study, he created something called flow triggers. And so flow triggers are the things that we can put our awareness onto that make it more likely that we're going to create a flow state. Some of those flow triggers are presence, complete presence on the task at hand. It is an equal level of skill and challenge. So we're not over-challenged, we're not under-challenged, so we're engaged. But Mihai said that there was one flow trigger more than any other that we should focus on to cultivate flow. And do you know what it was? Intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation, which is when we are doing things because we love doing the thing. It is not for the outcome. So just shout them out for a second. Where do you find flow in your life? Skiing. 2 more. Jiu-jitsu. 1 more. We got like 1 more skiing. People really love skiing in this room. Great. Thinking, singing. When you are doing those things, you may do jiu-jitsu and you feel shredded afterwards and you feel connected to the people in that room, but you're not doing it for that feeling. You're doing it because jiu-jitsu rocks because you get into the flow when you're doing jujitsu. And what happens when we come into social environments like this, especially when we perceive high value individuals, is we do the exact opposite of focusing on our internal motivation, that intrinsic motivation. We shift onto external motivation. And we can think about that as the rope. And the rope is rejection, outcomes, and perceptions. So we're worried that we won't be accepted. We're worried that we won't meet our goal or connect with the right people. Or we're worried that people are perceiving us as not successful or cool. And what happens when we focus on those externalities, which I'll just acknowledge for a second, is natural. Our brain is conditioned for survival. It wants to think about the worst case scenarios so that it doesn't happen. But when we focus on the rope, then we feel tar, reactivity. We feel tension in our bodies, that pit in the stomach. We feel anxiety, a racing mind, or resistance to just go up and talk to somebody new. We all know that feeling. And what social flow does is it shifts us from the external motivation in social situations onto the internal. Every single person can reclaim authentic confidence by acknowledging these external forces, which we all experience, and simply shifting them onto the internal. And social flow does that. Are you guys ready to put this into practice? All right, let's do it. So first question, intentionality. So what time is it right now? We've got our timer where? I don't see the timer, but I just want to make sure that we're on time. So you're going to have 15 seconds right now. On the count of 3, everyone in the room is going to stand up. Watch, it's going to be miraculous. 1, 2, 3. Everyone up. Guys, you're so well behaved. That was amazing. I wouldn't be expect so many entrepreneurs to follow orders that well. So now what you're going to do is you're going to find someone in the room who you have not talked to in 10 seconds. I'm going to give you a countdown starting now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Hurry if you haven't found them. 2, and 1. All right, we cut the music. All right, we're gonna come down to silence on 3, 2, 1. Pretty good, I'm impressed. All right, so intentionality is based on the premise that when we put our attention onto our intention, we are more likely to create the experience that we want. We become the thermostat instead of the thermometer. What does the thermometer do? It reads the temperature in the room. What does the thermostat do? Sets the temperature. So rather than reacting to the energy we're perceiving, we get to set the energy. And so what I'm going to invite you to do with your partner, you're going to have 2 minutes when I give you a moment, and you're going to articulate 3 desired states of being for today. So for you to be the most you today, how do I want to be? I want to be excited. I want to be confident. I want to be curious. I want to be present. Whatever those are for you to be the most you today, you're going to share that with your partner, and then we're going to do something fun. We're going to take the first letter of those 3 words, and we're going to create an acronym for our states of being. There's something called the power of 3s. Makes it easier for the mind to memorize things. And so what you're going to do is you're going to have 2 minutes to share those 3 states of being and to create your acronym. So ready, set, we'll start that timer. All right, so now can we get 3 people? Just shout out, what's your acronym? We have FEC. Who's FEC? What is it? And how do you want to feel?
Engaging, confident.
Fun, engaging, confident. Who else has one? Art? What's art? How do you want to feel?
Alert, relatable, transparent.
Alert, relatable, transparent. Great. How about this side of the room? Who's got one? PCP. Great. All right, what's PCP? All right, there you go. PCP. We're gonna find you later. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just gonna invite you to just take a seat wherever you are in the room for a moment. Don't worry if you're in someone else's space. And we're just gonna play a little experiment with ourselves. So what we talked about earlier is that, again, it's natural for the mind to shift into that external motivation because our mind is conditioned for survival more than anything else. And so it's natural that it's going to think about what could go wrong. And so what we're going to do right now is just provide our mind with a little alternative of how today could go. And so I'm just going to invite you, if you're open to it, to just close your eyes for 30 seconds. So just close your eyes and then just become present to your feet on the ground, temperature of the air on your skin, noticing your breath. I'm just gonna invite you to imagine today where you are expressing each of those states of being to the nth degree. That you are being the most you, that you're operating from that place of intentionality and not from reactivity, that people are responding well to it. You're exchanging numbers, you're feeling good, you're feeling energized. And I just want you to imagine that last moment you're putting your head down on your pillow and you check in and you see how you're feeling in your body, feeling so connected and so yourself. And just notice how you feel in your body. And just take one breath into that space. And then we can come back into the room. And I love to offer us that moment, because if you felt your physiology shift just a little bit, imagine what's happening if we're letting our mind run unchecked on all that external motivation of what could go wrong all the time. It's impacting our physiology and how we're responding to spaces. So we got to give our mind the opportunity of how I want to be and what can go right. That's intentionality. So next up, we have curiosity. And so before we even do this one, let's just play one more game. 3, everyone stand up on the count of 0. 3, 2, 1, stand up. All right, and now I'm gonna challenge you. You're gonna have 10 seconds this time. You're not even gonna have 15 to find someone new that you have not connected with yet. So we're gonna start the countdown right now. Ready, begin. 10, good beat, DJ, I like it. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, cut it. Guys, that was really good. You're very much on cue. So curiosity, this question is based on the premise that our curiosity is one of the most powerful tools we have to cultivate connection and understanding. And the way that we honor curiosity is by articulating the questions that do it justice. And so often when we're in a state of reactivity, it's because we're over-focused on the self. We feel self-conscious, and we can transcend self-consciousness with other consciousness, focusing on other people. And so what I'm gonna invite you and your partner to do right now is to create a list of the 5 best questions you can come up with to really get to know somebody. So right now you're gonna have 1 minute to create your list of what you think the 5 best questions. And the 5 best questions abide by what I would call the golden rule of questions. Let's ask people questions that we would be liked to ask ourselves. The golden rule of questions. You have 1 minute to create your ultimate list of the 5 questions that you can use to connect with people and understand them at this event. Ready, go. 1 minute. When we know the questions that honor our curiosity, we will be more likely to use those instinctively. All right, so now we have an opportunity to crowdsource. You've got your list. Who thinks they have the best list in the room? All right, a lot of good question askers. All right, Pink Pants, you're an easy target. What are your questions? Let's hear them. We got a mic right there, easy. So what are your 5 questions? How about, can you give us your top 2, and then we'll get, so what are your top 2 questions from there?
My personal favorite is, if you had one superpower to change the world, what would it be?
Ooh, I love it.
And if you were to travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I love it. All right, someone else raise their hand who got 2 more. Let's crowdsource the best questions we can use to have the most incredible lit up conversations this week. Pass the mic to the next person. Great.
What's one thing you'd like me to know about you?
Cool. I love that one. We got one more in the hand. Let's keep it going. So whoever answered, you get to run it back to the other one. And guys, we have lunch waiting, so let's skip. Exactly. Let's jog.
What's the biggest challenge you've overcome recently?
Ooh, love that. What's the biggest challenge you've overcome recently? Who else has one? Right here.
What is your biggest insecurity?
Ooh, let's get real. Love it.
What do you like best about what you're doing now?
What do you like best about what you're doing now? One more.
What's the compliment you most love to receive? That when someone gives you this compliment, just juices you,
I got
lights you up on
goosebumps
the
when you
inside.
said that. How do you feel in your bodies hearing those questions? Do those sound like conversations you would be excited to be in this week? Yes. Right? Okay, so now we're going to crest into our next question, with this authenticity. What is real for me? I spent so much of my life mastering the tools of communication and interpersonal dynamics and connection, and it was fucking exhausting. because all of it was a mask that I told myself that I couldn't be who I really was. And it was effective, but I didn't feel good. What's the point of success if I didn't feel like people really knew me? And so authenticity is based on the premise that it's not the right thing that really earns people's respect and connects us. It's the real thing. And that authenticity is about so much more than being our true selves. I'll just invite you, everyone kind of like turn inwards, like we're in like a circle. Turn towards the inside of the room for a second and just like look at the people who are here. And as you look at the people around this room, I'll just invite you to silently consider a question. Do I want the people in this room to feel like they can be themselves? Do I want the people in this room to feel like they can be honest with me? And if your answer to that question is yes, then I will invite this concept in. The only way you can truly create space for other people to be themselves is to be exactly who you are first. That our authenticity is not just about us, it is an act of service. That when we are authentic with positive intent, doesn't mean I want you to go out shouting your shame and your blame and your judgment of everyone, but when we're authentic with positive intent, not only are we being ourselves, allowing ourselves to be known, but we are creating space for other people to be who they are. And so I'm going to invite you in the next 10 seconds to find one more person here who you have not connected with. Ready, set, go. Perfect, and we're going to come back to silence in 3, 2, 1. One of my favorite concepts with authenticity is that we can play at the poles. We can play at what's most exciting and what's most challenging, giving people the full range, because you could be crushing it in one area of your life and something else is challenging. A challenge is not bad. It's a part of life. We all experience it. And so what I'm going to give you an opportunity to do is to start on the realm of the positive, of the appreciation. And so what I'm going to invite you to do right now is to look at this person who's across from you. Whoever traveled further to be here, you're going to get to go first. And you're going to get to appreciate yourself. You're going to be able to share with this person what is one thing that I love most about myself. And I'm going to invite you to answer that question in the way that you want the person across from you to be able to answer that question. In the way that you want your kids, you want your co-founders to be able to answer that question. Do you want those people to be able to let the love in for themselves? Yes. I think so. So answer your question with that type of openness, that they can celebrate themselves as well. You're going to have 1 minute for both of you to answer this question. What is one thing I love or like most about myself? Ready? Go. I bet this conversation is going to be harder to bring to the close, but I believe in you. I want to honor our time and get you to lunch when you're supposed to. So we're going to find silence in 3, 2, 1. Thank you, DJ. We'll cut it. Thank you for respecting the time. And so now I'm going to invite you, look, this time we're going to do 5 seconds. I believe in you. You can do it. You're going to find a new partner. On the count of 3, we're going to go. 5 seconds to find someone you have not connected with since you've been here. 3, 2, 1. 5 seconds to find someone new. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to come back to silence in 1, 2, 3. Silence. Rock and roll. Let's do it. So again, let's go to the other side, because again, challenge is not bad. Challenge is endemic to the human condition. So the question I'll invite you to answer is, what is a challenge I'm experiencing, and what's the lesson or opportunity in it? What's a challenge I'm experiencing, and what's a lesson or opportunity in it? You're going to have 1 minute for both of you to go through that question. Ready? Go. The real thing is the best thing. Quickest way to earn trust is to tell the truth. I'm following orders for Amber. We're going to get you out to lunch at 12:20. So now I'm just going to invite us to close on our last question. So I'm just going to invite everyone to sit down for 1 moment. Wherever you're at, it's okay. We can go back to our seats. And however you want to close that connection with that person, whether it's a high five or a hug, whatever feels honoring of what you just shared, you can close that connection with that person. And then we're just going to come back to the final question, which is, How can I be more present? It's anytime we find ourselves in a state of reactivity, again, the tar, the tension in our bodies, anxiety in our mind, resistance. It's likely because we are in some sort of story or prediction about what the future holds. And so if we want to come back to presence, intentionality, feeling good in our bodies, it exists in the here and now. And one of the most effective ways we can come back to the here and now is simply connecting with our breath. It's listening intently, making eye contact. And so we're going to utilize one of those to bring this session to a close, and it's our breath. And so I invite you to simply close your eyes if you're open to that. And we're going to go through a quick circle breathing exercise. And I'm just going to quickly run through these pillars one last time of what we went over in the last 30 minutes. And so, again, a circle breath starts by breathing in on 4 seconds. I'm going to give you a clear count when I want you to start doing that, but you're going to breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds, then you're going to hold at the bottom for 4 seconds. And so from there, we will, is that music? Oh, we've got DJ, thank you. All right, so counting down from 3, 2, 1. Big breath in. 3, 2, 1. Hold at the top. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out. 3, 2, 1. Hold at the bottom. 3, 2, 1. Big breath in. 3, 2, 1. Hold at the top. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out. 3, 2, 1. Hold at the bottom. 3, 2, 1. Big breath in. 3, 2, 1. Hold at the top. 3, 2, 1. Big audible exhale. 3. And let's go ahead and keep our eyes closed for one moment. Now just invite us to consider one final time some of the pillars that we went over today, that perhaps our authenticity, simply being who we are, could be the most effective path for not only connecting with people, but achieving our goals without all of the strain and drain. That perhaps simply being intentional, curious, authentic, and present is all that is required, that we truly can do less to connect more. Simply being who we are here is an act of service, creating space for everyone you meet at this event and in your lives to be who they truly are. What a gift. And in your own time, you can come back into the room. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That is Social Flow. I'm Andrew Horn. That's me ripping on a fun wave in Costa Rica for no reason other than I really like surfing. It's Andrew Horn on Instagram. You can find me if you want to connect. I'll be walking around. I got a big hat on. Thanks, y'all. Let's have an amazing week.